is that he would rather the poor were poorer, provided the rich were less rich. That way you will never create the wealth for better social services as we have. And what a policy! Yes, he would rather have the poor poorer, provided the rich were less rich. That is a liberal policy. Yes, it came out, he didn't intend it to, but he...
That was a video clip of Margaret Thatcher in front of the British Parliament. Now, in case you didn't know, Margaret Thatcher was a British Prime Minister. She was the first female Prime Minister, and she was the Prime Minister who served the longest in British history. And she was called the Iron Lady by people who like her and dislike her the same. Now, when people argue against income inequality, what they rather have is the poor being poorer as long as the rich are less rich. So imagine this is the gap between poor and rich, okay? So they are willing to have the poor being poorer as long as the rich are less rich and the gap is reduced. But this is a policy that punishes all of us. It doesn't really bother me that Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg have so much money, because they have been creating value for all of us. So, for example, when we think about wealth, we shouldn't be thinking so much about how wealthy is a person is, like Elon Musk, but how did they get to be so rich? Okay, so to go into that subject, first of all, I would like to speak for a second about economic systems. So we have two main economic systems in our society. We have communism and we have capitalism. Okay, so when we think of communism, we think of countries such as Russia, Venezuela, China, Cuba, North Korea, so on and so forth. These governments, what they do is that they own all the means of production, and hardly any wealth is created in those countries. The focus of the government itself is not on wealth creation for the individual citizens, but on controlling those citizens so that they, on the political top, they can stay on top, okay? As opposed to capitalist governments where the individual gets to have an idea, see it to flourish, and create wealth from those ideas. So let's make some historical comparisons for a second. If we go back and think after World War II, where Germany was divided into East Germany and West Germany, and one was a capitalist and the other one was a communist, guess which one of those two Germanys flourished, okay? West Germany flourished, while East Germany just stagnated. It didn't grow anymore. And then what happened is that most people tried to escape East Germany to go to West Germany, because they knew that over there in West Germany they could have a better standard of living. Now let's go back and think of North and South Korea. This is a society, they speak the same language, they have the same origin, they have practically the same everything, except that one of them is a communist and the other one is a capitalist. Guess which one have a better standard of living for its citizen? Guess one have pop music and cell phones and manufactured vehicles and have all this industry? Well, it's South Korea, which is the wealthy one of the two, while Communist Korea, North Korea, their people are starving to death and they are practically used as slaves. Think for a second now of Cuba. Cuba is a communist island, and since the revolution, then people have been risking their life to escape Cuba and go to the United States. Think, for example, of Venezuela. Venezuela is right next to Colombia, my home country, and people in Venezuela under the autocracy of Nicolas Maduro, they have been suffering. They have been escaping Venezuela and going to all the other neighboring countries, because Venezuela just went from a country that was flourishing, full of capitals and wealth, to now a country that is starving. So all that being said, in my opinion, a capitalist system is much better than a communist system. Now, let's see about how people produce wealth. So let's say Elon Musk, which is the poster boy for capitalism. Elon Musk got to be so rich because he's producing products and services that people want to buy. When he produced another Tesla vehicle, people are just waiting in line to give them their money in order to have one of those Tesla. He also created SpaceX, which is he sends rockets to space and have those rockets come back. Well, the United States government and other governments in the world are waiting in line in order to give Elon Musk money in order to send those payloads to space. So this is something created by an individual who have this support system of a capitalist society. Let's go a little bit more, not so much grandiose, let's go a little bit more earthy, and let's look at J.K. Rowling, who wrote the series of Harry Potter. Those are 7 books, and she sells those 7 books for an average price of $40. Now, for $40, she's giving a child over 60 hours of reading time, nourishing the imagination of that child so that child can go into other universe, into the magic universe of Harry Potter, so on and so forth. And she has become rich out of those books, and she has well earned it. And we don't know of any authors from a communist country who have produced any kind of wealth at all through their writing. So again, a capitalist system produces the environment where people can create and benefit from their creation. Now, I follow economics, and there is this economist, Nobel Prize winner called William Nordhaus. I will spell that his name in the notes. What he said in his stories is that the rich only capture 2% of their value that they create. So that means that regular individuals like you and me, we get to capture 98% of the wealth created by these individuals. Think of Netflix, for example. For $10, we get to watch practically a lifetime of videos and movies and whatever other entertainment. Think of Spotify. For about $10 as well, we get to hear practically every song in the world. So yes, we are getting so much value for those $10, whether it's movies or videos. Think of the smartphone. Okay, not created but basically put together by Steve Jobs. Okay, so his innovation, I don't know how many billions of dollars Steve Jobs got. Let's say 20. I don't know, that number comes to my mind randomly like that, but let's say $20 billion. But what he has done is to put a computer, supercomputer, in the pocket of practically every individual in an advanced society. So even the homeless now have access to all the information in the world through their phones. So this is how much wealth Steve Jobs have created with his innovation. I get to have memories. This is a recorder, voice recorder, video recorder, photo album, information, communication. You know how much money I save using this as a communication tool as opposed to before 20 years ago when I had to pay $7 a minute to talk to someone in Colombia, South America. So this is the value that Steve Jobs have created with his innovation of the smartphone. So when we think also historically, all the creations that have been created by the wealthy, all these creations have come down in price and they have become accessible to almost everybody else in world. So even people below the poverty line, they have refrigerators, they have washing machines, they have dishwasher, they have home computers, they have all these, and these are innovation that 30 years ago, not even the rich had access to all this, that now it's just regular everyday items that everyone gets to enjoy. So in conclusion, instead of focusing solely on diminishing the gap between the rich and the poor by bringing the rich down, what we should be doing is encouraging entrepreneurship and innovation and the support for other people to create their own ideas and to have the opportunity to become rich themselves. Thank